What is up, everybody? All right, so this is a special Office Hours live stream. If you've never been to Office Hours before, you're in for a treat because this is your time to ask me whatever questions you have, coding related or otherwise, and I will do my best to answer them. So let me just go over to Discord here really quick because that's where the questions go, and let people know that we're starting. Where is Office Hours? There we go. And yeah, here, let me share my screen now also. Yeah, so here's Office Hours. Oh, would you look at that? Epic Web Dev is now live. Discount available, limited time. What? Yeah, so we've got a limited time discount here. Let's take a look at the non-authenticated page. I want to show you this first. This is very time intent or a time sensitive because this is an enormous full stack web dev workshop series, and it is at a discount of 40% off right now. And for the next hour and 27 minutes. Oh, okay, so we're I forgot that it'll be 11 o'clock my time. It ends at 10 o'clock at Pacific time. But yeah, so in an hour and a half, this limited time offer goes away. So when the 40% discount goes away in an hour and a half, it goes to 30%, and the free license to Epic React and testing JavaScript will also go away at the same time. So you really want to get this right now. This is an enormous benefit, almost a 70% discount if you add up all of the prices of these things together. So it's huge. Okay, but yeah, full stack web app. I fully expect some folks to ask questions about Epic Web. Oh my gosh, it's Brett. What is up, Brett? It's good to see you, dude. Are you you here just to hang out, or did you have Office Hours questions you wanted to ask? Or can you not hear me? I think yeah, connecting to audio now. Sweet. What is up, Brett? It's super good to see you, man.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Just telling people about Epic Web Dev and that the discount's about to go away in an hour and a half.
Oh, cool. I just was taking a break. I'm at a coffee shop here in Maine.
Oh, dude, that's my
And
favorite place to work is coffee shops.
yeah, and I just was like, hey, Kent's doing something. Maybe I'll join and see what's going on.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm glad that you're here. You feel free to hang out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Yeah, it's just always good to see you, dude.
Yeah. How many people do you usually get coming to these?
Yeah, so during my regular weeks, I will typically get like 2 or 3 people in the Zoom call and then a bunch of questions in Discord, which is what we're going to go through here in a second if nobody else joins the Zoom call. Yeah, we typically fill an hour with questions, so it's fun.
Oh, cool. So like I imagine they're just all over the place, the questions and such.
Yeah. Some of it is career focused. Some of it is like, here's my code sandbox. Can you help me figure out what's going on? Some of it is like specific to my workshops. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. I expect there will be a number of questions from folks asking about the Epic Web Dev right now. And actually, in light of that, I'm going to break tradition and I'm going to pull up the YouTube comments and take a look at that. I normally ignore YouTube comments or chat, but I'm gonna have it open today, just since I know a lot of people are gonna have questions and I want to get those answered.
Cool. Well, I'll be a fly on the wall for a bit.
Okay, sweet, sounds good. Because you're in the Zoom, you get priority though. So anybody who joins the Zoom call gets priority. If you have any questions or anything like that, then feel free to throw them in. So, okay, cool. So YouTube is still loading chat. Say hi, chat, YouTube chat, if you're watching there. So I'm going to just go ahead and start with the, you know what, I want to really quick before I get into the questions, I want to try and convince you who are watching that you should definitely get Epic Web Dev because this deal is just too good to pass up. And I just, whoops, hold on. And you're going to, I'm going to be sending a bunch of emails and stuff to convince you why you want Epic Web Dev. And you're going to later be like, oh yeah, I really should have gotten that when the deal was so good. Okay, so let's talk about what is involved in Epic Web Dev. So I want to teach you to ship modern full stack web applications. This is the direction the world is going in. We are working on full stack apps now. Welcome to the future. If you're happy working in your single page app, that's great, but that is not the way it's going to be long term. We are moving into a new world of better user experience and developer experience. And so I want to take you into that new world. So you can feel free to read through all of this stuff. I've been doing this for a long time. So many people have benefited from the stuff that I have taught and created. And so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what it takes to turn you into a full stack web developer. So we've got 5 modules that equate to around 16 days worth of workshops. I charge about $500 for a per person per day. And so that's $8,000 that I would typically charge for all of this material if like some company hired me to teach their engineers. Which, by the way, if that's something that you're interested in, let me know, because $8,000 a seat, it ain't bad. But yeah, I'm not charging that much for this because it's a self-paced workshop. So I can scale this better and make this a lot more accessible. But it is just a ton of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about some of what's in here. So the full stack foundation is going to give you a rock solid foundation on what it takes to build for the web. And this is actually interesting because a lot of people who have a lot of experience building web applications will take this and be like, I'm going to just run through this really quickly. And then they find out very quickly there's a lot of learning to be had in here as well. So this is where we start. Now, this actually brings up an interesting point about where are the prerequisites? Like, if that's where we start, like, what are we expected to have in place in our brains already? And so we have this frequently asked questions thing here. And we've got prerequisites right here, this question about prerequisites. So the workshop is, each one of the workshop repositories lists some recommended reading and other prerequisites of knowledge and things. But in general, you need to have some basic understanding of JavaScript, TypeScript, React, Node, and Git. And each one of these will take you to a free learning resource that will help you in your journey in acquiring that knowledge. So here's a blog post for me. These are free TypeScript tutorials to get you up to snuff on TypeScript. This is the beginner's guide to React, also free. This is the Node introduction. You really don't need much more than this introduction. Like, in fact, like, you don't need to worry about WebAssembly at all and stuff. So like, this actually goes even further depth than you would probably need for Node. But you need to at least be able to like run scripts and stuff. Reading through some of this would probably be helpful. And then just enough Git to be able to run a couple of scripts. You don't really need to do a whole lot there. So if you have all of that knowledge, you're comfortable with that, then you're ready to jump in with the Full Stack Foundations workshop. Now we're going to learn about styling, routing, loading data, mutating data, which is where things get hard in web applications. It's easy when you're just loading stuff, but making changes to it is where things get a little bit more tricky. But I'm going to show you how to avoid the tricky stuff, and it's going to be awesome and easy. And then search engine optimization and handling errors. And then we move on to professional web forms. So this is a really interesting one because like most or like half of everything that you're doing on the web is making changes to forms or to data. And that's all handled via forms. And so we're going to talk about accessibility with forms, validation, schema validation, so that you have type safety and progressive enhancement through all that in there, file uploads and complex data structures. Forms don't really represent those very well, but I'm going to show you how you can make that really easy. And then security to prevent a lot of different vulnerabilities. It's going to be sweet. And then we get into data modeling, and we do a deep dive on data modeling. So we have our database schema that I'll show you how to architect your database schema really well. We'll talk about relationships between different schemas, so between your different tables and how all that works. We'll talk about migrations, both for like your local migrations, but also production migrations, and seeding, both local and in production seeding environment. And then optimizing queries and optimizing the database itself. And not only just like, here's how you optimize it, but here's how you find out how to optimize it. It is really, really great. So you're gonna love that. We even go down into like writing raw SQL statements, and then on top, like for most of it, we're using the Prisma ORM, and it's awesome. Okay, so then we have the behemoth workshop module of all of them, and that is the web authentication module. This is huge. 21 sections, 64 exercises. Compare that to the 9 sections, 22 exercises of the data modeling. It is huge. This is the equivalent of like 6 days of workshops, which of course you'd want to spread out over time. So that'd be like 6 weeks worth of learning. It's just so much, so much stuff in here. So we talk about the foundation that upon which web authentication is built. And we start with user preferences. So storing settings in the user's cookies, managing sessions, not session storage, mind you, but session storage. It's kind of an unfortunate name, but yeah, managing sessions with cookies. We do password storage, so securely storing things that beyond just like, okay, hash the password stored in a database, but like, how do you store it in the database in an efficient and effective and secure way? So we talk about that. Validating passwords, session expiration, permissions, verification. So verification is actually a really big subject, and it's really cool because we build this verification layer, and then we build a bunch of features on top of it, like user email verification and password reset and 2-factor authentication, and actually a number of other things. So that's actually really cool. We go pretty deep into that. We also do third-party authentication, OAuth, connecting to multiple OAuth providers. And by the end of it, you'll be ready to implement single sign-on with OpenID Connect or SAML or whatever. So you'll really, really understand this stuff when you're all finished, and I think you're going to really love that. Okay, so then like we go so deep. It's super, super cool. Okay, give me a second because I think my kids forgot that Daddy is working. One sec. Okay, there we go. They're just like knocking on the door, and they wait, and they knock. They know when they hear Daddy talking, you don't knock on the door. Go find Mom. Okay, so full stack testing. So we're going to start with test automation. So we're with Playwright for doing like a full end-to-end test. What we're testing actually, and here's what we're building. We're building the Epic stack. And so we're testing this experience of searching for a user. So we're like, hey, I want to find Kent, and boom, make sure that he's in there. But what's tricky about this is you don't want to rely on seeded data or anything like that. So you want to actually insert data into the database, then search for that user, and then you need to clean up after yourself. So then you're going to delete that user. And then you also want to check the empty state and make sure that the empty state is right. So like there are a number of things that you have to consider, even for testing something as simple as this. And so, yeah, you're going to really enjoy that because like it's going to cover a bunch of things that you typically need to worry about doing. Yeah, and here's our login with GitHub and create accounts, all of that stuff all implemented here. If I log in with my GitHub, then we'll go to profile and edit profile. And you'll see here we've got enable 2-factor authentication. We've got our, we've got managed sessions. That's all done. Download your data, manage connections. So here are the connections on my account. I need to, in a future volume, we're going to talk about caching. And the reason that page load took so long is because we're actually talking to the GitHub API for this. And we're going to cache that so that it'll be much faster. File upload with the image here, but also we have our notes. So this is a note. Wahoo, Epic Web rocks. And then here, let's see, do I have a, let's do this. Let's go to Epic Web Dev. I'm going to right click on the logo and oh my gosh, it takes you here. Isn't that cool? So here, we'll go right here. Isn't there? Oh, I forgot there's no PNG. Here, let me just do this. Yoink. We'll grab that. Epic Web. Here, we'll do this one. That looks cooler. Okay, cool. So now if I say I want to select an image, Epic Web is great. And you can add images, all of this stuff, and then submit, and boom, here we are, epicweb.dev. Awesome. So you're going to learn all of that stuff. And then also we have permissions implemented as well. So we have this ability to delete notes. I can't remember if I made myself an admin, but let's just see. Because if I did, then I should be able to look at this person's note and delete it. That would be mean. But it looks like it's just a test, but we're not going to do that. That would be mean. But yeah, I'll show you permissions. So that's pretty awesome too. Okay, cool. Other things. So we're testing that user search page. We get pretty deep. We're also testing with HTTP mocks. So as part of the onboarding process, you're actually talking to a third-party service to send emails, and we want to mock that out so our tests don't rely on that third-party service. And so we actually mock that out in the web auth workshop when we're actually sending those emails, because you don't want to do sending real emails during development either. It's a much faster workflow if you don't have to do that. So we set up those mocks, but then later on, we actually add more mocks for the GitHub API. So super cool. You're going to get deep into mocks. And then authenticated tests, we've got utilities that you're going to be building for doing authenticated stuff. So I'm trying to remember, like one of the tests that we are going to be working on is in your profile, we're going to test enabling two-factor authentication and then providing that two-factor auth code. So that's pretty cool. We do go pretty deep on the testing stuff. We do the most complicated things so that by the end of it, you feel really confident with what you're learning there. Then we dive down to the unit test level, do a couple of unit tests, and then we also do some testing on like lower level components, React components as well. And then we do integration testing with both Remix specific components. So like not just Remix, but like anytime you need to do a provider sort of thing, we'll talk about that. And then integration testing with like our backend API. So the GitHub callback URL or route, we hit that and test that fully. There are a bunch of different cases, like what if you're already connected? What if you're not connected yet and you need to onboard? What if you already have an account with the email but you're not connected to that email yet? Like there are just a bunch of different cases and we're testing all of them. So we go pretty deep. And then we, as a bonus, you get 25 interviews with experts. These people are awesome and have lots of really cool things to share. So definitely look forward to those expert interviews as well. And then the workshop app itself is just killer. If you want to dive really deep on what this workshop app is all about, then you can go to epicwebdev/get-started. And this has a video that gives you a tour of the workshop app. You will be blown away. It is awesome. There's so much in there. Okay, and yeah, people are saying they really like it. So that's awesome. And there you go. So that's a little tour. Now, I welcome any and all questions about Epic Web Dev. That's where I'm going to focus because we've got just about an hour of time left before the sale is over. And so I'm going to focus my time and energy on answering those questions. But yeah, we'll try to get to the other questions as well. So starting here in Discord from Daniel, just a note, I'm paying Epic Web Dev with installments. It turns out it's possible. That's interesting. Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, so maybe that's an Apple Pay thing specifically. Maybe Apple Pay is doing that for you. So yeah, that's cool. That's definitely not a feature of Epic Web Dev. We do not have installments, but yeah, I mean, if you can use some other service that will allow you to do installments, go for it. That's awesome. Ta-da! That's great. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for mentioning that. That might help some people who are watching. Okay, let me just look at in Discord if there are any other questions about Epic Web. It doesn't look like there are. Okay, yeah, looks like that's it as far as Epic Web is concerned. Now I'm going to turn over again. This is not something that I normally do, but I will look at the YouTube live chat as well. So I'll keep that open. Looks like nobody's chatted any questions about that, about Epic Web Dev in there yet. So, but I'll keep it open and available in case anybody has questions. And thank you. Okay, so we're going to scroll up to where the last time I was answering questions was, and we'll get some of these questions answered. Okay, I don't think I answered this question, so we're going to start with this one. Answering this now. Okay, actually, before I send this, Christopher Summers just asked a question in YouTube. And so, yeah, let's talk about that answer really quick. Stuff about volume 2. So here we have volume 1 is what you're buying. Volume 1 includes all of this stuff. Whatever is included on here, that is what volume 1 is. That's what you're buying. It's very important that you understand that you are buying this and no more and no less. So some people are asking about, well, what about updates? And what about like volume 2? Do we get volume 2 as well? All of that stuff. So it's important that you understand that this is a one-time purchase. It is a license, not a subscription, and that is different. A subscription is something that you're paying regularly and expecting regular updates. A license is something you buy once and you get the thing, and then it's over. That's our transaction. So I feel like that's way more clear. It leads to less weird feelings between us. Like, hey, Kent, why aren't you like, I see that you're enjoying time with your family. Why aren't you working on the thing that I paid for, right? Like, I don't want to do, that's not the life I want to live. And so you are buying this and nothing more. No expectation of any updates of any kind. All of that said, I definitely do plan on doing the same thing that I have done with Epic React. And that is, Epic React was recorded with, the videos were recorded with React 16. But if you take a look at any of the workshops right now, you'll see that they're running React 18. And the reason for that is because I was able to update the workshop material to use the latest version without making too big of an impact on the videos, or I was able to re-record the videos that were impacted. And so if there is an impact on the videos, then I will make a note that explains what the impact is, and you should be able to still get all the learnings out of that. So that is my plan, but you're not buying that. It's not listed here. If I die, you cannot go and ask my wife for your money back, right? Well, I guess you can in 30 days. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if that's how things go down, you can take money back from my wife. There you go. Okay, I'm not going to die. I have no plans to do that. So, but that's the idea. I do plan on making updates to the material as I can. I want to give you the best learning experience possible, but that's what you should plan on. Now, the question was actually about volume 2, like what is going to be included in volume 2. So I've got a number of ideas, and I can't really give you any idea of like when will this be available and what's it going to include. I can't be very specific because it's still just super early. But here are a couple of things that I have on my mind. Caching is definitely one thing. We actually showed an example of where we're going to be doing that a second ago. Background jobs, cron jobs, that sort of thing. Also something that's on my mind. Internationalization. Localization, another thing that's on my mind. Real time is another thing that I'm planning on doing eventually. Yeah, I feel like there are a couple other things that I'm thinking about, but those are the biggest things that are on my mind for volume 2. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Great question. Volume 2 will have a discount if you bought volume 1. That is the plan, but I can't really make promises on what the future pricing will be, especially since I don't really make those decisions myself. I actually glad that I'm sharing this. Credits. This is what it takes to build something like Epic Web Dev. An entire team of really awesome and skilled people who are skilled at the thing that they do. So Joel is just, I basically do whatever Joel says and things work out really well for both of us. And so Joel is makes the pricing decisions. We do talk about it for sure, but I defer to his judgment and I think he does a good job. you will be happy with whatever the result is if you get it. I'm positive of that. Okay, great. So yeah, super fan of all the people on this page. They're just fabulous people. In fact, I'm gonna just stick this in the Discord so we don't lose it because it is awesome. So thank you to these people. Okay, got a couple other things here in Discord, and I've got some more on YouTube, so let's take a look. Bought Epic Web this morning. Looks like they're separated. What is separated? Oh, okay. Change your name on Epic website from the cardholder's name. Yeah, so actually this is a priority for the team. They are working on a profile page where you can edit your profile. So eventually this will be a thing. Eventually soon, that will be a thing. Possible to access all the courses from Epic Web Dev site, like testing. Oh yeah. We have nothing to say on this at this time. Okay, so Pedro, yep, separated. Okay, great. So more questions over here on the YouTube side. How valuable would this be for someone mainly focused on Vue or Svelte, etc.? So I will preface my answer, and actually this is kind of related to Carl's question about how tied is it to React and Remix. Oh, actually it's the same person who asked that question. Sorry, Carl. So I will preface this by saying that I have never built and deployed an application in Vue or Svelte. So take that for what it's worth. But I have taught people who work on Vue and Svelte sites, and they tell me that their experience going through this material has been very helpful for them, even though they're not using the same tools. In fact, I think we've got a testimonial on the Full Stack Foundations workshop right here from Gwen, who she's using Next.js, so it's still a React thing, but she's using Next.js. We're using Remix in this workshop series. And she was able to, here's what she said: I'm working on a web project. This gave me the mental framework I need to quickly ramp up and feel competent. I'm not even using the same tools Kent uses in the workshops. 13 out of 10. So the really cool thing about Remix is that it just has such a strong focus on the web foundation or web fundamentals or web platform that you honestly don't feel like you're working in Remix a lot of the time. You're just working with request and response. And so as all frameworks are moving this same direction, because it's a really great idea, you're going to definitely be able to use a lot of this knowledge in SvelteKit or Next or whatever is you end up working in. So very transferable skills. Great question. Okay. Is the course more focused on general full stack development or specifically with Remix? Yeah, focused on full stack development. You will definitely learn Remix as a part of this course. Don't get me wrong. Like, you will be a really solid Remix developer when you're all finished, but that is not the focus of the course. It is like that happens kind of. You'll learn web dev and you'll learn Remix and you'll learn TypeScript and you'll learn Prisma and you'll learn like Tailwind. You'll learn all of this stuff. You'll learn React, and ultimately you're learning web, and all of that is going to be very transferable for you. Okay. Able to provide a physical address in a DM. I'm looking to get a personal version of Full Stack Volume 1 paid by my company, but they need a physical address. Is that something you can provide? Shoot an email to support. So support is going to be team@epicweb.dev. Shoot an email to them and they can give you a physical address. Yeah, that's the best way. Thank you, legendary 12345. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's all the questions on YouTube. Let's go back to Discord. What will you do now you're done? Relax and spend time with family? Oh my goodness. I mean, the discount is going away in an hour. The really huge discount that's happening right now that includes Epic React and testing JavaScript. So if you haven't gotten it yet, you should get it right now before that goes away. But once that's done, we go to a 30% discount, which is still just a killer deal. And so I definitely, while I would like to relax and spend time with family, I still have lots of work to do. And there are like things that I want to do as part of the workshop app too. So I've still got lots of work to do. And once the 30% discount is gone next week, it goes down to a 20% discount. Still a really good deal. And then after that, it goes to just the full price. So once we get there, then yeah, maybe I'll be able to relax a little bit more. But I've got like a bunch of emails to write and content to make and all that stuff. And on top of that, like I'm not done, especially with the tips. Oh, this is the creator view here. Let me get here. So these tips, I definitely want to, let's go right there. Okay. I want to make more of these. Somebody asked the other day about pagination. Like, do we learn about pagination in Epic Web Dev? Not in any of the workshops, but I definitely plan on adding stuff like that to the tips here. So yeah, in the future, my future involves a lot of video content creation still. Also free tutorials. So in the workshops, I don't show you how to configure vtest or playwright or tailwind or any of that stuff. Well, we do a little bit of tailwind config, but I don't really show a lot of that. And so I want to do some tutorials on how to set up those tools and like the different configuration options and stuff like that. So yeah, good question from Kiran. Are any price parity for other countries? Yes. The PPP is supported. If you take a look at the frequently asked questions, we do support PPP. So it will be like in the little pricing area below the the buy here on the buy page. Let me just show you buy. It will appear somewhere around here. I can't remember exactly, but there'll be like a little way to opt into purchase power parity. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think we can now get to other questions that are like regular office hours questions. Feel free to keep other questions coming though, because I am happy to answer questions about Epic Web. That's like where I'm focused on. What would you say volume 2 is about? From Wisdom Tooth. Back up about like 10 minutes or so, I talk about that and give a couple ideas. Good question. Okay, what's the roadmap for Epic Stack? Hi, RG. This actually, Wisdom Tooth, this will kind of answer your question because Epic Stack is kind of the what I'm planning the Epic Web Volume 2 to be. So what the Epic Stack is now is what Volume 1 is. Volume 2 will be the things that I'm adding to the Epic Stack soon. So things like internationalization. Kiran, if you don't see a PPP option, then you're either not in a country that supports PPP or you've got some VPN going on that's like changing where your thing is coming from or whatever. You can shoot an email to support with details. Okay, things like internationalization, caching. Actually, we already have caching in Epic Stack. Here, let's just do this. Check the discussions for some of the things I'm thinking about. Okay, discussions. Okay, there we go. From Zoom, did I answer this question? I think I may have answered this question. And I remember answering this question. Okay, so let's see right here. Love Epic Stack. Could you give some insights how to upgrade to the latest version? Okay. Yeah, sorry. Just getting to this now. Did you find or figure this out? Yeah, upgrading to the latest version of the Epic Stack. Like we've actually got some documentation on that. Docs. Upgrade, update. Yeah, managing updates. There it is. Check this. Okay, good stuff. Okay, we've got, how long can it take to complete volume 1? Average estimation. Good question. So Epic Web is, if I were to deliver Epic Web to a group of engineers, it would take 16 days. But of course, we wouldn't do that day after day. We would probably do what I did in August, which is 2 workshops a week. And so it would take 8 weeks to do that. In August, that was a very fast pace. And I think that one of the nice things about doing a self-paced workshop is that you can go at your own pace. So it might be fast for some people, not as fast for others. But what I would suggest is just one workshop a week. And like these workshops can be divided into that. So like I normally do about 3 to 4 exercises per workshop or per day. And so I would do 3 to 4 exercises per week, and that should get you done in around 16 weeks. But that might be a little bit fast as well. So I'm thinking like 6 months to a year of like interleaving the workshop exercises and the stuff that you're building on your own. That would be what I would suggest. Kiran, I think there should be purchase power parity in Singapore. You should email support if you're not seeing that, and they can verify that. Okay, great. Sivas. Article about state co-location would be nice to point out. You're emulating a slow. Okay, yeah. Here, let's go to my blog. And yeah, I busted this. This doesn't work. Remind me later should actually remind you later, but it does not. I need to fix that. Okay, so because it just pops up every single time, it's actually kind of annoying. I should fix that like after I'm done here. All right, so what we're looking for is, yeah, I totally forgot. It's the simulating a slow component. Oh, and state co-location. Here we go. State co-location. Here we go. So then it would be nice to point out. See, I'm not sure I understand because I am. You mentioned it as a comment in the code block, and that's cool. Yeah, sorry, Sivas, I disagree. I think it actually is pretty clear. We literally have a way to control how fast it is. I don't know how you can mistake that. I'm sorry. Okay, great. So Elias, if you disagree, then feel free to come down here because there's a link to edit on GitHub, and you can make a pull request with your suggestion. Okay, very stuck. Told my boss I'd finish this week with your core. Oh, right, we talked about this, and he's all good now. Using React to TypeScript in my office, want to show a terminal-like code on the dashboard as shown in the picture bottom right. Is there any way to include that? I'm new to React and only been using it for a couple months. Any way to include that? You'd have to build that from scratch. Not a totally, or it may be a surprisingly challenging thing to do with colorization, but you probably can manage it. Check out ANSI to hex, I think is what it's called. No. NPM. ANSI colors, ANSI, no. Okay, I'm using it in the KCD shop app. So let me look at the package JSON. Okay, hold on. I'll bring this over here really quick. So y'all can see what I'm working on. It is in process manager server here. Test or standard out, handle standard out. Yeah, this is for the server that's running. Here's the test process. Yeah, I think we change it from or get the ANSI colors. Oh, it's ANSI to HTML, I think is what it's called. But let's go to test. This is where we output the test results and write. Here it is, send event. So this is server sent events, ANSI to HTML. There it is. Yes, that's what you want. Okay. So check out Good luck. Okay. Alif, custom hook to get form state from an API request of form configs. Okay. Jira populates the configs after the API call along with the configs. I sometimes get additional data. Okay. With that use effect, everything works, but it gets too many renders. Without use effect, form state doesn't. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is okay. Hard to answer without a real example. What is too many renders? But what you will probably want to do is use this hook in one component and then pass its results to another component that displays the form only when the data has finished loading. If you have a framework like Remix, then you can do all of this in the server side loader and have a much better UX. Otherwise, you can still put this in a loader with a React router, and it will be much easier to manage as well, or than use effect is. Good luck. Okay, great. Benjamin, what is up, Ben? Okay. Map, filter, for each do something. Feels wrong, as I believe map and filter and alike should only be used when you need to store the return values. A for loop would be more appropriate, especially if do something returns a promise. The mapping and filtering can be done, can easily be replicated in a for loop. I'm asking, as we had a little debate with a colleague of mine. Yeah, so here, I'm just going to say answering this now. Good question, Benjamin. I would never do it this way. I really don't like using for each. In fact, I don't think I can't think of a situation where I would use for each in the modern age. The for of loop is really, really great. And that's what I would recommend instead. I don't mind doing a map and a filter before I pass things through a for of loop. I know some people will take issue with that because you can do the same logic within the for loop and it's more performant or whatever. That's fine. Like you do whatever. If you've got a million items or something, then yeah, that would make sense. But if it's like 24, then I don't care. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. 1 second. So, but yeah, the for each is what I have issue with. 2 problems. You mentioned the problem with the promise. So if it does return a promise, then there's no way for you to say, okay, wait, do this with a certain level of concurrency, or just do it one at a time or whatever. There's just no way for you to manage that when you do a for each. And on top of that, you also don't get the promises back, so you can't wait for them. You could do a dot map, and then what you get back is an array of promises, and you can promise dot all that, and that would work fine. But then you still don't get to manage concurrency. At least with a for loop, it's like one at a time. So you're not going to end up with like 7,000 things happening at once and bringing your memory usage or shooting your memory usage through the roof or whatever. Maybe not memory, but whatever it is those promises are doing. Probably sending like 7,000 network requests would be a really bad thing. Or reading 7,000 files and file system all at once probably also be not awesome, or like processes or whatever it's doing. So yeah, a for loop is a better default because you add a wait right there and it's just going to do one of those at a time. So that's a better default. And then if you want to add concurrency, then you can bring in something like what I would do is one of Syndra's promise utilities. So I think pmap might be a good one. Yeah, concurrently, but then you can kind of control the concurrency, I think. Where's the concurrency? Concurrency, yeah. So you can control the concurrency. So there's that. Whoops, we'll stick that right there. And then he's got a bunch of other related modules depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So that's what I would recommend if you ended up with promises. But even if not, if this doesn't do promises, whatever, I would not use a for each. I just don't think it's as clear. So yeah, there you go. I don't care if this is just like a simple do something. I don't care enough to like die on this hill, but I would not do it this way. I might do the map and filter and then pass the results of that to a for loop. Or I might just take the logic that's inside of those and put those in a for loop. For loops are great. The one drawback to a for loop is you don't get the index of the item. So you either have to look it up or you do not a for of loop, you do a traditional for loop that has the index. I'm not a super fan of the traditional for loop. I think it's kind of confusing, but yeah, that would be a way to do the for loop and still have the index. In that scenario, then I pretty rarely will do side effects anyway. I normally want the return value, and so if that was the case, I would use a map, and with the map, you actually get the index as the second argument. So yeah, good luck. All right, the skull within. Great work on Epic Web. Thank you. I worked really hard on this. Created a load more pagination best of AI. It looks like this. Does this seem correct? Let's take a look. So we've got a load more. We're working inside of Remix. We've got Prisma. This is a hook, use load more. We've got a bunch of use states. Here, I'm gonna say answering this now. Yeah, we've got a couple fetchers, the regular fetcher and fetcher more. And then we've got a page. So did they say infinite scroll or pagination? Yeah, pagination, okay. And then fetch more is a function that takes all of the state, turns it into query params. I would recommend, actually, you could take a look at new URL search params. Use that instead of what you're doing, because it will encode things properly and you don't have to do the stuff that you're doing there. So give that a look. It's pretty handy. And then, yeah, you're loading that, and that makes the fetcher have that data. Then you call set page. Now, like, one problem that I have with managing, well, yeah, I would not manage the page in state at all. Instead, what you should be doing is, well, hold on. I guess it looks like the way that you're doing this is that you're managing all of the query params inside of state, so it's not actually showing up in the URL. There are reasons to do it that way, but I would push against that at first and try to avoid using state for any of this stuff. All of this stuff should be in the URL. That way it's like the URL is awesome. Users can get to the page that they want to go. They can hit refresh and they're still where they left off. They can hit back, they can hit forward, they can share the link with people. But if you store all this stuff in state, then like you're in trouble. So what I would suggest is move this out of state, put it in the URL, and then you can say use search params. And then instead of using a fetcher, you use loader data. And that way, like, you don't have to worry about the fetcher either. You just use loader data. You get all the values. When you want to fetch more, you just change the search params, and with that use search params hook, and you're in business. So this will be actually a lot simpler if you stick that in the URL. Let's assume that you can't do that or something, and so I'll continue to read through this. So you have a debounced fetch yep, it's using debounce. So what's interesting about this is you're not including debounce fetch in your dependency array. And so you turn that off. That's very dangerous. Don't do this. And I can tell you why right now. You've got a bug because you've turned this off. And the bug is that the category and search term and sort and featured, all of those values will be wrong as time goes on. They will be stale. You will never get the proper values for category, search term, sort, and featured. If they change, then you won't get the right values there. So that is going to be a problem for you. And so you'd say, okay, well, let's just stick that in the dependency array. But I'm guessing there's a reason you left it out. And the reason is that every render, it was triggering a fetch. And the reason for that is because debounce is returning a new function every time, because this function right here is new every time. So every time you call debounce, it's going to give you a new function. That new function is going to trigger the use effect, and boom, now you're in an infinite loop. So the solution to this, I actually have an article. It's actually on Epic React articles. And I give an example of this with the latest ref pattern. So the solution is the latest ref pattern. So give that a look. I'll stick that right here. Of course, none of this, it's very possible none of this will matter if you can move all of this stuff to the URL, which is probably where it should be. So yeah, the rest of this stuff is probably like very specific. Anytime I see that, that is a major problem. You will have stale things. I'm guessing the thing that's supposed to be in there is the total count. And the reason that you're not including that, I'm actually not sure why you're not including that. But yeah, you definitely need to have all of your dependencies. You will have stale values, period. And that will lead to bugs. That's just it. And in fact, I do have another blog post about use effects. This is probably going to be helpful to you. Okay. And there's that. I hope that was a helpful review. Good luck on what you're doing. Okay. Common Dracus. Here, actually, let me just, yeah, there we go. I've got a question regarding the pattern in React Performance module, exercise 5. It links to this old but great blog post. Yep. I very intentionally did link to this, but we got rid of this also very intentionally. Okay, it's about optimizing context providers. In the article, there are 2 kinds of approaches discussed, this one and this one. My question is simple. Why and how does the alternative work? What is it about separating the state from the updater that makes it work? Okay, so let me just, yeah, we're good. Oh, let me, yeah, I'll get to your question here in a second, Boxrun. So let's talk about I'm actually not going to spend any time diving through this. So I'm just going to answer the question and then move on. So let's reply answering now. So feel free to pause the video and then go and figure out like what we're talking about, and then you can hit play. So here we say force re-render. These ones aren't re-rendering. I click on this and it only re-renders this one. So this is the alternative, I believe. And right here, we've got our count provider, we've got a count display and a counter. If we take a look at the count context, we've got the count provider that renders 2 context values. We have the count state context and the count updater context. We provide, or we have a use state right here that's managing the state of this count. We have the count and the set count. We pass the count to the count state provider and the set count to the count updater context. And then we have hooks that consume those contexts individually. And if we go over to our index now, we have we've memoized all of the components. So like they should not ever re-render, period, because they don't accept props. That actually is only necessary because of this force update. Yeah, but you'll notice that when I trigger force re-render, these ones don't re-render because the memoization that we're applying. Now, this is like top tier level optimization stuff. Most of the time, you don't need to do any of this, but here it is. So that's why when I hit force re-render, these ones aren't re-rendering, because they're memoized and they don't accept any props at all. So why is it when I click on increment count, does this one not re-render? So our counter right here is consuming the use count updater. And then we also have this use render counter. This doesn't really do anything all that interesting. There's no state managed in here, so don't worry about that one. So the only possible way that our counter can re-render is if this count updater triggers that re-render. If we look over at our count context, here's our count updater. The only way that this is going to trigger a re-render is if the value of the count updater context changes. Now, turns out that the value here is the set count function from React, and React is going to make sure that this value never changes. So the reason you're never going to see this number get anywhere beyond 1 is because it's impossible for it to ever re-render, because it's impossible for this value to change. So that's why, that's how it works. So by splitting the context up, you make one context provider that has a value that will never change, and then the other context provider has a value that can change. And so if we take a look at our count display, we're using the use count state, and that is going to trigger a re-render here. Now, why would you do this? Well, the only reason you would ever do this is if you have components that are consuming the state, but don't need to update the state. And you've got other components that do need to update the state, and re-rendering those components that need to update the state is expensive. For some strange reason, it's just really expensive. So the only time you'd ever do this is if this right here, re-rendering this right here, was an expensive operation. If not, then this is way too complicated. And that's why I actually hid the blog post, because I was worried that people would start applying this in a bunch of places, and it's not a good thing to do unless it's super like you find that it's really beneficial. So you want to measure first, measure after, make sure it's actually helping. And you got to be scientific about your measurements, like measure it in production mode without all your dev tools installed and all of that stuff. So there you go. That is the answer. Hopefully that helps. Okay, we got all these questions. So it was, where is that? Box Run, what's up? Yeah, finally getting to this. Okay, so to answer the question, what will volume 2 be about in Epic Web Dev, and will it be the same price? Oh, yeah, sorry. I actually answered this question about a half hour ago. So if you back up the video about a half hour, then you'll see the answer to the question about what's going to be involved and what the price will be. So basically, the TLDR is a lot of really cool things will be in volume 2. I can't tell you anything about the price. I have no idea what the price will be. Because I don't even know exactly what's going to be included in all of that stuff. So that is that. I've answered all the questions. It is now almost 10:30. So just to wrap up, folks, we have just a half hour before Epic Web Dev sale is over. So yeah, 30 minutes and 43 seconds. And then the Epic React Pro and Testing JavaScript Pro will go away. The 40% goes to a 30%. So you definitely want to take advantage of this right now as soon as possible. So I'm going to tweet about this or post about this on x.com. So the 40% discount goes down to a 30% discount. And the bonus licenses to Epic React and Testing JavaScript go away in only 30 minutes. Grab it now. 30-day money back guarantee if you later decide it wasn't worth it. I don't expect you will. Or I expect you will not use that. There, we want to grin. There we go. Nope, that's a grimace. Grin. There you are. Okay, great. That's it. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope that was helpful and interesting. Just going to check the last couple of things before I say goodbye. Yeah, it looks like nobody's typing in here. So yeah, oh, we've got Common Dracus is typing, so I'll wait just a second for Common Dracus. Feel free to throw a last couple YouTube comments and stuff if you have any questions, and then I'm gonna take off. So, and Common Dracus stopped typing. There we go. Thank you, it helps. Awesome. Yeah, 100%. You got it. All right, thanks everybody. We will see you all in the future. I hope you love Epic Web Dev.